Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Kev Kelm. It is a Tuesday, and this is WrestleZone. All up in your face, up in your ears, getting you a news flash, catching you up. I'm Kev. I'll be with you solo today, and your questions will be popping up here on screen if you're watching the streams live on YouTube or Facebook. We're taking your questions live and interactive. We have a lot to talk about today. The Royal Rumble. We have the first few names confirmed for the big Royal Rumble matches for the men and the women. We'll talk about that. AEW will be giving a solemn and somber tribute to Brody Lee, who obviously we've been covering that story, tragically passed away this past weekend and continues to be the topic that fans around the wrestling world are talking about. And we'll get into your questions as well. So we'll have a lot of fun today. We'll go through it. So stay with us. If you're with us live and you're with us for the first time, go ahead and hit the like button. Got to do that. Got to hit the like button so we can defeat the algorithms. And if you haven't done it already, subscribe to us on YouTube and give us a follow on Facebook. That's how you get the notifications and set the reminders, all that good stuff, so you know that we are live. Couple of names in the chat already. Go ahead and get your questions in there. I want to know if the Royal Rumble happened today. The Royal Rumble was to happen today, who would win? Who would win the Royal Rumble if it happened here on Tuesday, even though we know it is coming on January 31st? Who would win? I want to know what you guys think here. Go ahead and give us your comments and let us know what you guys think about that as well. A couple people excited for, or looking forward to, rather. I want to say excited, but looking forward to the Dynamite tribute tomorrow night. Couple comments about that. Other people with Spencer Worden bringing this up. He said if the Rumble happened today, he would go with Daniel Bryan. Well, it's interesting because Daniel Bryan is confirmed for the Royal Rumble. He's one of the two men's names that has been confirmed so far. And last night, Bobby Lashley, the United States champion, threw his name in there. There's been a lot of speculation about who will win the Royal Rumble this year. Will the Royal Rumble be what it normally is? So will this be a different Royal Rumble under the, different circumstances of the Thunderdome? So it's a different take here. So I want to know what you guys think here. Daniel Bryan, a lot of people think he's in line to go after Roman Reigns, but here he is entering the Royal Rumble. So is he going after Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Is he the guy they're going to build up for WrestleMania? Is he the man who's going to win the Rumble? Remember years ago, fans wanted him to win the Rumble and they booed Roman Reigns out of the building. Does that get to happen again? Do they play into, organic storyline elements that could have been played on years ago? Michael texting in here saying that Big E, the current Intercontinental Champion, is the man to win the Royal Rumble. He recently won that title. Well, the odd thing is, as we reported yesterday over at WrestleZone.com, odds makers at betonline.com, yes, people do bet on who wins the Royal Rumble, those pick 'em contests, all those different things, says the new Intercontinental Champion is favored at 3-1 odds. However, sharing those odds, two legends who could make their return in time, both Edge and Goldberg, are also in there. Currently, 5-1 odds are on Brock Lesnar and Keith Lee. So your favorites for the men's Royal Rumble right now in terms of betting are Big E, Goldberg, Edge, Brock Lesnar, and Keith Lee. At the bottom of the list is Stone Cold Steve Austin returning. No, it's not happening, guys. Just no, stop it. 251 to 250 to 1 odds. Vince McMahon. I don't think you're going to see Vince McMahon in there. As for the women, currently BetOnline has Bianca Belair being the odds-on favorite at 9-2. Rhea Ripley is currently on that list, along with Alexa Bliss, Ronda Rousey in a return, Shayna Baszler. And for those, there's Kelly, Lita, they have 100 to 1 odds. Stephanie McMahon going to WrestleMania has a 150 to 1 odd. So not a lot of great odds to the legends returning there, but certainly some exciting names. Let's talk about the women with the Royal Rumble here in just a second. I want to see what you guys are thinking. Scott McFarlane says this is where the Fiend comes back. Could the Fiend come back at the Royal Rumble? Could they represent the Fiend character of Bray Wyatt? We haven't seen him since he got burned alive at TLC. A lot of storyline with that on this week's Monday Night Raw. Alexa Bliss pouring herself with gasoline, challenging Randy Orton to light him on fire. Orton versus Fiend. Do we see more of that at WrestleMania, or at least WrestleMania season? Does it start at Royal Rumble? I don't know. We're all speculating here, guys. We're going off the information we have and speculating from that. Other people chiming in saying, why not Seals, Blue Devil, saying, why not Peyton Royce and Jey Uso? Those would definitely be some sleeper choices there. And Spencer Ward wants Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania. So I'm guessing you want Bianca Belair to be your Royal Rumble winner. This is a question. Laura Rocks is, does WWE have enough talent for both the women and men's to fill slots? Absolutely, they do. Especially if you start pulling up people from NXT, they have a lot of people that can fill this out. So don't worry, they have plenty of talent to be able to fill out both matches. It's not a question of whether or not they have enough talent at all. They absolutely have enough. Who should win, Big E or Edge? Terrell is asking that question. I don't know who should win right now. The storyline hasn't been exactly set, but I like this time, this far from the Royal Rumble, when you can just kind of say, like, this guy. Let's throw a dart at the wall and say this guy is the guy. If Big E was to do it, is he coming in with the Intercontinental Championship and try to become a double champion like they've done in New Japan Pro Wrestling? That would be interesting. With Bianca Belair, is she this overwhelming force that just takes over everything and becomes the star to chase Sasha Banks into WrestleMania? But the problem then you have with that would be fan favorite versus fan favorite. You need WrestleMania. You need a hero chasing a villain, a babyface and a heel. So that dynamic could be a little odd there. I know we're spitting stuff all over the place here, but let's talk about the women. Daniel Bryan, Bobby Lashley, they are confirmed for the Royal Rumble match as we speak to you today. For the women last night, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. They threw their names into the hat. So this will be interesting to see what happens with them as both of them work as a tag team together. Could they break up? Could you see the tag teams play together? Currently, we have Charlotte Flair back in the mix with WWE after being on the shelf for some time. She and Asuka are the Raw, or the top team on Raw. Obviously, the top team in WWE. They're the women's tag team champions. Could they fight each other? So the tag teams make a different dynamic as well. Another thing about the Royal Rumble, I'm talking about a lot of different possibilities here, is it creates a lot of different possibilities. It doesn't just create the title match. And everyone talks about the Royal Rumble being a match where the winner gets the match at WrestleMania. We know that, but it really creates a lot of other things. These matches do a lot of other things for other people that are trying to find their slot or their lane in the road to WrestleMania. Good questions. Who should win? Who should win the Royal Rumble for the women? I don't know right now. We mentioned Bianca Belair. I know people would like to see her win, but does she need the win? You bring up who needs it. I don't know if she exactly needs it. I think the women, it's a lot more harder to pick than the men because it's going to be, all right, who do they want to bring up or who do they want to reboot? There's a lot more possibilities with the women, I think, that are broader and a lot more have stake in it. With the men, it does feel like they're either going to go with doing it with somebody who needs to be rebooted or reintroduced as a big legend, or somebody who's there and they want to bring them up again, like a Daniel Bryan. So here's the thing I like. As someone who follows and works in wrestling, covers the media, everything like that, I like not knowing. Don't you like not knowing? Hit the like button if you enjoy not knowing but having this discussion. Let me know. And let me know who you think would win if it happened today. If you guys are in the comments, if the Royal Rumble happened right now, who would win? And if you're watching on demand or listening on demand, we'll get into the conversation after the show goes up as well. I'll jump into the comments with you there. Go ahead and tell us what you think. We'll be covering, obviously, everything at WrestleZone.com on the day of, in the lead up to. Before we jump into your questions, AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan gone on the record saying that this week's AEW Dynamite, which would have been a part of their Holiday Bash series, will instead be a tribute to the late, great Brody Lee, who tragically passed away this past weekend, and a non-COVID related lung issue. This will be on this week's show, December 30th. It will feature many different tag team matches. This card was put together, he said, overnight. He worked on this to kind of rearrange everything here. Chris Jericho will be on commentary. There will be a tag team match that was a Brody Lee Jr. Dream match for favorite wrestlers of Brody Lee's son, Brody Lee Jr. So that will be, it'll be a very, very momentous show for them. This is Tony Khan tweeting on Wednesday. They will celebrate John Huber with a show including tributes and special card of matches dedicated to the Exalted One. This night is intended to honor John, but also Amanda and their sons, Brody and Nolan. The show will feature Young Bucks, Colt Cabana versus Matt Hardy in Private Party. Hangman, Silver, and Reynolds versus MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. Anna Jay and Taya Conti versus Dr. Britt Baker and Penelope. Lance Archer, Uno, and Stu versus Kingston, Butcher, and The Blade. He says that AEW's New Year's Smash will now take place across the first 2 weeks of 2021 on January 6th and January 13th. So they'll just be shifting everything back a week. They've also shifted another thing they were going to present this week, which would have been the premiere of their new video game online show hosted by Kenny Omega. That show would have been called 2 Point Show, and that has been pushed back 1 week to January 6th. That would have been premiered on their YouTube channel at AEW Games. So that will be pushed back. They're working on their gaming effort. They have a new console game and 2 different mobile games coming out in the next year. So that has all been shifted back. AEW certainly responding to fan demand here, and they will be moving things in that direction in this week's show. Obviously, it is a very, very sad week in wrestling. You've seen the outpouring of tributes. There were some on Monday Night Raw last night. You saw Drew McIntyre reference him with "It's Monday." You know what that means. The "Yeah, yeah, yeah," which is a reference to a T-shirt that John had made that wrestlers were wearing when he didn't have a shirt as Luke Harper. They wore the "Yeah, yeah, yeah" shirt. It's still a very hard topic to cover. And you saw a clip last night on Raw Talk, the post show from Monday Night Raw, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston sharing their heartfelt emotions. So it is a very, very sad week. Yeah. Jason Michael Campbell bringing this up as well. This is a story that came out. Brody Jr. is AEW World Champion. Yes, Brody Jr., I believe about a week ago in a match. It was filmed. I don't know if they didn't air it yet, where he defeated Kenny Omega. This young upstart defeated Kenny Omega to become the AEW World Champion. My light is a little bit bright here. I'm going to turn it down. Give me just a moment. I don't like how bright it is. Oh, that's so much better. Isn't that so much better? I don't look all washed out. People ask me, did I see the tribute on Up, Up, Down, Down? I did see the clip on Instagram. Xavier Woods putting that out. Just all the moments of John Huber freaking out at them while playing video games. Some of that's very heartwarming. Definitely heartwarming stuff here. So we'll jump right into your questions as we move into the final segment right here. Ask us anything. Ask WrestleZone any wrestling question. Any wrestling question about what's going on, what's been going on, what could be going on. We'll talk about it here for a little bit. I want to hear from new people. Definitely want to hear from new people. If you've never watched the show before, we're highly interactive. Your questions pop up on screen with us. If you're in the podcast thing, go into our YouTube and our Facebook. You guys can get into this conversation as well, or hit us up on the Twitter machine at WrestleZone.com. If you haven't got on the Twitter machine, it's a machine. Maybe you have it in your house. Go to your Twitter machine. It's right next to your toaster. I'm being ridiculous here. Here's a question. Can Charlotte win I guess Royal Rumble, and still be tag team champion with Asuka? I don't see why not. I don't see why you couldn't do that. That certainly could be an interesting storyline to do if Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble again. I could see some people online being very upset about that. Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble and then challenging her tag team partner, who she also holds the tag team titles with, for the Raw Women's Championship. I mean, we had a classic a few years ago in New Orleans. I was there. It was amazing. Probably the best match on the show was Charlotte versus Asuka. I know they've done the match a lot. They've done it on SmackDown at least once. I believe they've done it on a different pay-per-view. They've also been against each other in tag team matches, now as a tag team. There is something special with Charlotte and Asuka in the ring together. Charlotte's gone on the record saying Asuka is the greatest professional wrestler she's ever worked with. Some people say Asuka is one of the best female wrestlers in the world. Other people say Charlotte is. And there's a lot of people just don't like Charlotte. They just decided they don't like her. They think she got pushed down their throats. She went away for a while, and they're going to turn on her again. Oh, Vince just loves her, and that's why she's there. I get it. But it could be an interesting scenario there that you just pitched there, Seals. Let's jump into some other questions here. Jeff Krupp, Fiend showing up Monday or at the Rumble? When is the Fiend going to show up? Well, we felt some presence of the Fiend this week on Monday Night Raw. The show ended with Alexa Bliss pouring herself in gasoline. All right. Gasoline. All right. And that's fine. And challenging Randy Orton, who had burned the Fiend, her running partner, her on-air pair. And we haven't seen the Fiend since. The Fiend was burned alive in what I think is the best Inferno match they've ever done in terms of playing off the gimmick. And when is the Fiend going to come back? And you even had Randy Orton say, when is he coming back? When is he showing up? Because he's the Fiend. He's the new Undertaker. Right? So when is he going to show up? I think the Rumble is the time to do it if you're going to do it. I think you could tease it that long. I think that's what they've been doing the past 2 weeks here with Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton. I think they're going to keep that going as long as they can. I want to know what happened at the end of this week's Raw, not the Royal Rumble. I want to know just what happened last night on Raw because I don't know. The show ended with Randy Orton lighting a match and the lights went out and we don't know what happened. So there is that. Kind of had a Sopranos-esque cliffhanger on it. If they do it next week on Monday, is that too soon? Can they get you? Would you be less interested if they dragged it out that long to the Royal Rumble? Because that's 31st. We're now sitting here at the end of December. So that would be almost 4 weeks. Would you want to wait 4 more weeks for the Fiend to show up and do more of all these shenanigans? Could that aggravate you? I don't know. I think modern wrestling fans, you're asking a lot of them to pay attention to something for 6 weeks. They want a 6-month buildup in 6 weeks. Very, very hard audience to serve right now. They're a demanding audience, to say the least. All right, let's get right into your questions here. Steve Spillane, this is a big one. Will John Cena be in the Rumble? I mentioned the odds-on favorites for people to show up in the Royal Rumble. John Cena seems very full in deep on a film career at the moment. He will have a show with TBS, a game show that he's working on. He will have a show as the Peacemaker DC supervillain character on HBO Max. That'll be directed by James Gunn. He's going to be in the Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad movie directed by James Gunn, playing that character. So that movie is rolling out. So he'll be committed to the marketing for that. And he has other movies he's working on. I know he has a film he's working on that's produced by The Rock. So are we going to see John Cena at the Royal Rumble? Let me take a dramatic sip before I answer that question. Could happen. It could happen. John Cena could show up at the Royal Rumble. I mean, if he is only going to be a part of WWE's WrestleMania road, maybe you only have him at WrestleMania, and that is such a special thing. He becomes their new Undertaker, where he only shows up at WrestleMania for big things and comes down on high from the Hollywood Hills. This would be the circumstances to get him going for that and have him appear in the Royal Rumble. Obviously, I don't think he needs to win it. But him showing up at the Royal Rumble would be quite the surprise. It would get people really, really talking. He is very much a celebrity that is, at this moment, transcended WWE to some degree. Is he as big a star as The Rock has become outside of wrestling? No. But, I mean, if he did that, that would have WWE being the pop culture talking story of the 31st of January if he showed up in the Royal Rumble. There is no inclination to say that he is going to show up in the Rumble at this time. We have no reports. There's no rumblings of John Cena at the Rumble at this moment. But if he was to do it, it would be a huge story. And that's why you're asking, right? I mean, if he was a part of anything at WrestleMania, it would be a big deal. I mean, he appeared at last year's WrestleMania, a very short segment. And is he somebody that only wants to appear in those kind of short segments? He did the pre-filmed match with The Fiend. And do we get more of that? What do you do with him? Where does he fit in? Where it doesn't take away from somebody, but it does complement somebody. But obviously, you're leaving the door open for him to come back because he's really not. He's not. You're not seeing him on air. Obviously, the guy he's put out there. He wants to be a part of WWE as long as he can in some way or not. So we'll see what happens here. Different questions here. Trying to keep up with them here as you guys fly by here. I want to be on top of this. First timer. Thank you very much. Put the first timer thing in there if you're asking questions. Don't worry. Regulars, I'll get to you guys as well. Jeffrey Francis, what would you think of Belair winning the Royal Rumble? Well, Jeff, I think it'd be great. But obviously, they have to make that. You have to build momentum. You can't just throw someone in that position and have them win. I think Royal Rumble, there is something to be said. Oh, people say it's predictable then. But, I mean, you have to have momentum. You can't have just shock, shock, shock. It doesn't mean anything then. I mean, I think you can make a couple people look really good in the Royal Rumble. We always know that. I also think Belair doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble to be WrestleMania ready, to say the least. She has so much pronounced charisma that comes off the screen. She has so much athletic ability. The vignettes are very good. She really plays her role in those vignettes. She's done a lot of just being on commentary during other wrestlers' matches too, which a lot of people take that role sometimes, and it's just, I'll be out here, I'm going to say a couple things. She's really come out there, gone glitterati on the outfits, even when she's on commentary, just for the moment or two that she's going to be on camera, but still talking herself up and staying in the mix overall. I think she did a very, very good job with the handful of times she's done that recently. I think her winning the Royal Rumble is possible, but I don't think her winning the Royal Rumble is bad. And I can see people just being mad that she doesn't win the Royal Rumble, so it sucks. Or she doesn't win the Royal Rumble, so she's buried. Like, hold that back. Not winning the Royal Rumble is not the worst thing. Okay? There's plenty of people who've not won the Royal Rumble and gone on to a great match at WrestleMania or gone on to a big role at WrestleMania. So keep an eye on that. Do I think she can do it? I think she can. Would I like to see it? Sure. She may be she'd be one of the odds-on favorites, but I don't know. I'm not completely sold on it just yet. Like, if the Royal Rumble happened today, I don't know if she's the person that would win it, but she'd certainly be in that final four. Is that fair to say? Okay. Let's get to some more questions here. Can we see Bo Dallas in the mix? Laura Rock? I don't know what's going on with Bo Dallas. I don't know where he is in WWE. I don't know where he could be. Marvin, where? This is a question. As we're talking about Royal Rumble, then obviously that means we're talking about WrestleMania. Where is WrestleMania 37 going to take place this year? Have they decided yet? As far as we know, I mean, we've been reporting it now for a couple months that WrestleMania will find its way to Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium in some configured way of being an empty stadium show, possibly limited fans. So there's a lot of different fluid things going on here. We've also heard a separate report of WrestleMania not occurring at the regular time frame, maybe being pushed back 4 weeks in hopes of getting more fans there. We've heard that story being developed, being talked about, being reported. But here's what is official right now. WWE has not made an official announcement to move WrestleMania from its previously promoted position of SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. We understand, though, that California, with the regulations with COVID and everything, obviously is not going to have a stadium full of people in April. We're not going to have enough people vaccinated by that time. That all speculation that's above the board that is clearly accessible to you or I. And if you look at how California treats some things, that isn't going to happen, and their COVID cases are not in a position, obviously now, and may not be by then, to allow something like that to happen. So you look at Florida. Florida's been much more open to events, either large gatherings, limited gatherings with limited capacity, all these different things. It still looks like it's going to find its way to Florida. And that's just what we know right now. But WWE hasn't confirmed it. WWE hasn't announced it. WWE hasn't changed anything yet. I would assume, and mind you, I'm just assuming, this isn't the WrestleZone guy reporting. I want to keep everyone from running off to those different things. That at this time, WrestleMania will move. It will move out of Los Angeles, just like it had to move last year. And by last year, I mean March. Doesn't March feel like a long, long time ago? So that is where we are currently with everything right now. And we have not decided yet, even if there's going to be fans in a limited capacity there. It's worth noting, people say, oh, WWE doesn't have fans back. They have the Thunderdome. And the Thunderdome, they've spent a lot of money on it, both in the Amway Center in Orlando, now in St. Petersburg, Florida, at Tropicana Field. Could we get an expanded Thunderdome? Could we get something like what they have at the Capitol Wrestling Center? which is a mixture of the Thunderdome footage with live fans in person. Who knows? It is all wide open right now for what is going on with WrestleMania. But I am inclined to think that it will not be at SoFi Stadium in California. I don't think that's going to be happening right now. That's just the way I see things happening. Just looking on the surface. Spence, been with me the whole show. Thank you so much, Spence. Does WWE tag team divisions need a major facelift? People say that, but then I look at the teams they have on paper. I'm like, these are not bad teams. These are not bad teams they have right now. Street Profits, I guess you could say they've had the belts too long. They've been in the mix since the spring. I can see someone getting the belts off them and maybe the Profits chasing someone on the SmackDown side into WrestleMania. Over on Raw, I think the Hurt Business need those belts. I think the Hurt Business looks good as a faction. They are bad dudes doing bad things with bad attitudes, and they got titles. Makes complete sense. Don't think they really need a facelift. You need to build up challengers. The champions on both brands look really strong, but you need fresh challengers. New Day are still in the mix. You like the New Day. You don't hate the New Day, but you're kind of tired of the New Day as your tag team champions. So I think maybe something fresh and different for the New Day, I would say, and new challengers, a new team that you could buy that you want to see at least be in the mix or maybe even take those belts. That's what happens with titles. That's what I would say with the tag team titles. I would like to see happen. More questions about WWE and live events and different things like this. Is WWE fans going to return to live events anytime soon? Here's what we know about that. I could say this, and this isn't a question about WWE. This is more about live events in general and things that I've learned from just working in the entertainment industry, the live event industry, that you can access. And let me just kind of connect the dots for you. For the past few months, Ticketmaster and Live Nation, one of the biggest arena promoters, one of the biggest ticket companies, they are all under one umbrella there. They have put out that they're looking at different ways to have events with limited capacity in a transitional period back to life as we remember, the normal, as we're in this new normal. You've heard those terms as well. So what could this be? It could be events where you have to have proof of vaccination, or a proof of a negative test. And it would work through an app that you'd have to buy your tickets on, and there would be no paper to ticket. There would be limited events. There's been research done with a limited event in Germany, and what is the biology of that, of people presenting it? How do we have to clean the event? There's been a lot of money, research and development on how to even do a transitional period of live events across the country. I'm talking concerts, all these different things. So there will be a period of that, and that itself will be awkward, and the tickets for those events could be limited. Does WWE want to go into that transitional period with shows? As far as we know, WWE wants to do events as soon as they can safely do them. And could Royal Rumble, was a talked about time that they would want to do that. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Does not seem like there will be fans present at a Royal Rumble. Now, obviously, it's a fluid situation. It could change. But as the vaccines roll out and they get to the general public, that could change. How quickly they get to the general public, that is still up to debate. It's very much a fluid situation, which some people expect to stretch into the summer of 2021 in the United States and North America. So, does that line up with WrestleMania? Doesn't really line up with WrestleMania. So, how do you get live fans at WrestleMania? That's a much bigger question that I certainly don't have the answer to. So I think we're going to be in a transitional period. I do think to some degree you won't see live events, house shows, things like that. I don't think you'll see them come back completely until 2022. And that has been known now for a couple months, at least since sometime in October. So as for Raw and SmackDown, I think you could see those back by the end of 2021. Just right now, that's the way I see things. We'll have more Thunderdome. We'll have some version of the Thunderdome, I think, well into the second half of 2021 with a virtual audience and all those different things. That's the way I see stuff right now. Nick Diaz, how you doing, Nick? Let's get to your question here. If you were to send either Retribution or the Hurt Business to SmackDown, which would you choose? Wow, Nick, that is an interesting question here. Retribution and Hurt Business are both on Monday Night Raw. That is something I do think that needs to happen. Retribution did get a big win this week as an act. I mean, Ali was in the ring, but as an act, they were very much involved in the match. Very similar to Bullet Club back in the day, of just interfering in the match, but not being the complete deciding factor of what would end the match. I think Retribution on SmackDown would be a better fit. I do think the Hurt Business on SmackDown would be good, but who would I choose? I'm gonna go Hurt Business because they seem like right now a slicker act that's hitting all their points and you believe what they're doing. Retribution, a lot more work needs to be done on them for you to get into what they were supposed to be. It seems like they're trying to do catch-up work, and maybe there was some stumbling blocks and some stumbling. So now they want to get them back where they need them to be. And they're kind of locked into a storyline with Ricochet already. Hurt Business, too. They're locked into stuff with Matt Riddle and the New Day. So I wouldn't move any of them. But I also understand why you have the big multi-man teams on Raw, because the show is 3 hours. More teams, more acts. You need more talent on Raw because there's more show. There you go. What is the ceiling for Retribution after the Ricochet fiasco? What is the ceiling for them? Just another Ricochet question here. Here's the thing. I thought the match was really good. Did you guys watch the match? Did you watch that match? That was maybe one of the best matches on Monday Night Raw. I felt like I flopped at our Raw review yesterday because I was watching it and I was like, wait, this is amazing. They're going back and forth. They're doing a lot of fanatic things. But the internet has already decided that we want to give up on this. So we've already decided that we're giving up on this. So why are you still doing it? But then people have made that same decision. They made that with the New Day, by the way. Just to make a great example. New Day was something that people completely said, like, this is going to be dead on delivery. This is done, blah, blah, blah. And then the course got reverted, and it's something for the last few years people love. I think there's something there. I think there's a possibility of Retribution being able to turn around or at least make something out of it. Is it going to be the big deal that people thought it was going to be? No. I don't feel it's going to be as big as it could have been. Now it's just kind of making up for the stumbling they were doing. Here we go. More questions. If you're with us for the first time, I'm trying to scroll through here and get to anyone who hasn't gotten one in yet. Give me a minute. Here we go. Martin Howard. Do you reckon Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss, will wear the Fiend mask in the Royal Rumble? What's going to happen with her? Did she get burned on Monday Night Raw? Was she lit on fire? I'm getting hot now with my hat on. I'm bald. Look at that. Will she wear a Fiend mask in the Royal Rumble? Here's the thing. I think they're going to do some different things with her moving forward. Does she become the Fiend? I know some people said, oh, she has to be the Fiend. The thing about the Fiend, and now Alexa Bliss being brought into it, the Fiend is the most fantasy booked thing in wrestling fandom right now. It's a character that you can do all of the supernatural stuff with. It is a character that comic book fans, horror fans, anime fans love. So, and they are those things first, and then they're wrestling fans afterwards. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can be a wrestling fan of any age, of any level of dedication. You're a wrestling fan. Get used to it, guys. So those fans come in with that speculation. Are they going to do this thing that I want them to do? It's something that happens in wrestling all the time, and a lot of that happens with the Fiend. A lot of it. There's a lot of people saying, they didn't do this thing I wanted in my head, so it sucks. Don't do that. It's unreasonable. You know what I mean? I don't know if she wears the Fiend mask. She's doing fiendish things. She's wearing like a Chucky-like outfit, and last night she almost tried to provoke Randy Orton to light her on fire. Will they do something with her next week where she is like a different look? Was she burned? Did she get burned? We don't know. So we'll have to see next week on Monday Night Raw. I left you with a cliffhanger there. I don't know if she's going to wear a Fiend mask. I really don't know. That is my official answer to the question, but I didn't mind the topic, though. It's always fun. Okay, NXT has limited fans with virtual fans. Why hasn't Raw done that in some form? Because the Thunderdome is at Tropicana Field, and as far as we know, it is not allowed to have live present fans at this time. And you're dealing with a partner that doesn't want that. They're giving you the space. You're doing it for the space. You're doing it because you have locker rooms there. You have changing stations. You have all the different things you need for the production of that scale. That's why they're at Tropicana Field. So that is why. Capital Wrestling Center, WWE owns the complete building. They own everything about it. They rebuilt it. And they put up the screens and they can test everyone and they can do contact tracing. They can do all those different things with limited audience, and it works. People could say, I want live fans back, but do you want something similar to what it was like in the Performance Center where you had trainees kind of pounding on the glass? People said, I don't like this. This isn't cool. I saw a lot more people into Thunderdome by week 2 or 3 than they were into trainees socially distanced away from each other around the ring at the Performance Center. So that's why I see some things right now. Oh, here we go. Nick Diaz. Another Nick Diaz question. Do you think they're going to bring back the Hall of Fame in some form anytime soon? It's a very, very difficult thing to do. I don't think anyone wants to see a virtual Hall of Fame induction. That is an event that is so fun because you get to see the WWE superstars and legends together as a community, and it has a level of formality to it that is very special. Especially for lifelong fans. It is that kind of reverent event. I don't see that exactly happening right now. Something. I do feel bad for the people who are going to get inducted. British Bulldog, Bella Twins were set for induction this year. What do you think about Ricochet possibly joining the Hurt Business instead of Retribution? It's not going in that direction. If he does join Retribution, maybe they just beat him down into submission. He has to do it, or they do a match where he has to join them if he doesn't win. I could see that happening in the next 2 weeks. He's not joining Retribution. Sorry to bust your shot there. Craig Backlund, cracking backs here with his Fiend shirt on. Whatever happened to Eva Marie coming back to WWE? Wasn't there a story that she and WWE were planning on a comeback? Yes, there was. We don't know. Nothing has really happened with that. Maybe a Royal Rumble return is in regards. Maybe they're holding off for the Royal Rumble. It's a surprise there. More questions going to come in here from people for the first time. I already got this Mark Howard one. Want to make sure I get to any new ones that are popping by here. If you haven't gotten in the mix, get in there. Wajat from Jeffrey Francis Wajat. He says, what happened with the whole Retribution group? Did they just get rid of them? No. Well, I guess you're not watching Monday Night Raw. They are still present. They are involved in the storyline currently with Ricochet, which I just talked about. I don't mind doing this like rolling with your questions type thing here. This is fun. AEW Rock, says Michael Parker Jr. Yes, they rock. Thank you for joining the conversation with AEW Rock. Here we go. WWE needs Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal will be a part of the new WWE pilot or project that's being filmed here in a couple of weeks that is exclusive to India. Will feature the Singh brothers and other talent from that region of Asia, and they are looking to really break into the market of India. WWE is very, very popular in India, I can tell you. It has a lot of fans there, a lot of wrestling fans. Ring Ka King was a project that was out there a few years ago, promoted by Jeff Jarrett and TNA. They did a season of it. I don't know why they didn't film more. And this could be a big deal for WWE. I'm telling you, international expansion is something they're really looking into. We've heard rumblings of also a Lucha Libre focus show. So it makes sense that WWE would go in this direction. Jinder Mahal has been on the shelf dealing with an injury, unfortunately for him. So I could see some different changes with him as we move forward here. Hang on, I'm trying to. You guys are flying by with these questions here. Want to be on top of it. Oh, what's going on here? This has got to be great for the people listening to the podcast, isn't it? I think it's. Oh, what are you doing to me? Okay. Do I think AEW is going to pull a big rating tomorrow? Possibly. It'll be the show to watch. I know we do have a NXT year-end award show, and they're building to New Year's Evil, which will be next week. New Year's Evil, I think, is going to be a really, really fun show. This show, under the circumstances, under a tribute show, yes, I do think a lot of people will watch it, but I don't think whether or not it's a big rating is the most pivotal point to talk about. It's just what the wrestlers in that community gets to share with the world and the wrestling community in general. Here we go. What do you think they do with Drew at Mania? Well, the latest word we heard of a possible WrestleMania scenario is Drew has that title at WrestleMania, and he may be fighting Keith Lee for it next week, but he has that title at WrestleMania, and it could be Keith Lee, Brock Lesnar, and Drew McIntyre. So could we be getting a tease of WrestleMania this coming Monday with Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre. I know we're going to have a looming Sheamus outside the ring. He's going to have a presence. We're going to see what happens there. Or is there just a build to Sheamus and Drew McIntyre? So we'll see what happens here. Does Keith Lee win the title next week? Wow. Would that be something? Could Keith Lee have the WWE Championship going into WrestleMania? That would be wild, wouldn't it? Here we go. Can Roman hold the title long enough to fight The Rock? Well, a lot of people want Roman Reigns, the head of the table, the man who dominates his family, who makes his cousins do his bidding, says that he is the head of the table for his family. He is the tribal chief. Then he's got to be talking about his uncle, The Rock, right? Well, everyone says the story writes itself, and I completely agree. Completely agree. But something makes me think you don't see The Rock back until you have fans, because The Rock can sell tickets. And The Rock can really move the needle with media. So does he get to hold the title that long? That would be a long, long time, because you're not going to have The Rock back until WrestleMania. Or does The Rock come back in late 2021? Do you hold Rock for like a SummerSlam or something like that? Does a SummerSlam become your WrestleMania? It's such a fluid situation, you know? So we'll see what happens here. Could Roman do it? I don't know. He could lose steam with some people. Fans aren't as patient for long title reigns as they used to be. That's just my take. Thank you guys so much for your questions. Having a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Did you have fun? Hit the like button. That's all you have to do. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. And you can simply share this with your wrestling buddies. If you're on Facebook, you're on any of those wrestling pages, this is a great place to share our show with them. And if you can't watch the whole thing, get the audio. We have tons of wrestling audio for you on our podcast feed. Right now, we have WrestleZone wrap-up Monday through Thursday. We have the SmackDown Double Down on Friday nights into Saturdays. We also have Recap of Honor on Mondays, plus a Raw post show. Oh, I'm not done. No. We also have 2 Dynamite Dudes with Attitudes, our AEW focus show every single week, and big interviews. Today, we just talked to Arn Anderson. All right, Arn Anderson on the show as well, all in one podcast feed. Thank you to all the people in the podcast feed, by the way, in Egypt, putting us on the chart there as well. We are dominating the island nation of Cyprus. We're still in the top 50. All these goofy things. If you were listening to the podcast, thank you so much. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review. We really, really appreciate that. Or share that with your podcast wrestling friends. Much appreciation. Of course, give us a follow on all the social medias at WrestleZone.com on Twitter, WrestleZone on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're also putting these shows up on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for the support. You can follow me at Kev Kellum. That is at Kev Kellum. Check me out on air on 101 WKQX and all of your streaming devices. I will be back tomorrow with more WrestleZone. Enjoy wrestling.